Hello! Our next topic today is we're going to talk about a very important topic for this program, and that is meditation. Now, you may already have meditation skills in your skill set, and if you do, congratulations, that is awesome, and you will find those skills to be a wonderful support to you through your working life, I can imagine. However, there may be some of you watching who are thinking, what meditation? Why would you include meditation in such a course? Well, there are many reasons that we include meditation, but one of them is that we are aware of 40 years of scientific research that shows that meditation has the capacity to support a brain to function the best that it can to support both physical and mental health. So all of the areas that are positively impacted by meditation, if we take this as a daily practice, are the very areas of the brain that are finding it more difficult to process information in autism. So when people regularly practice meditation, what they're doing is they're assisting their brain to work the best that it can, to help them with emotion regulation, self-regulation, relationships, friendships, problem solving, being creative, and all sorts of other functions that are to do with organization, planning, focus, etc. So there's a few reasons to embrace meditation, and of course there's more in our book Autism Working, but the reason for this audio recording now is, first of all, I would like to define meditation and then to talk about how to actually set it up as a regular practice in your own life. There's 5 essential features that define meditation as we understand it. The first is that the meditator has a heightened sense of awareness of the present moment. In other words, they're anchoring themselves, grounding themselves into what is happening right now, instead of thinking about the past or the future. It's very much about the present. The second part of the experience of meditation is that meditation is considered to be located, if you like, in the space between thoughts. The space between thoughts. So what we're actually trying to do in meditation is actually expand that space. And eventually, the sensation of that space is that it essentially becomes infinite and all-encompassing. So it's the being, the sense of being, without thinking or feeling, but there's a sense of something else going on in that moment. And that's a sense of actually being alive. So they're the first 3 components of meditation. Now, of course, another part of this process is you can think whenever you want to or need to. Your mind thinking actually is a fantastic tool that you'll need, of course, in all parts of your life. And it's one of the reasons humans are so evolved at the moment. It's all to do with this cerebral cortex, our meta capacity for thought, for engagement, for experiencing our life. But sometimes thinking is not needed, and it can be stopped. Even momentarily is therapeutic for the brain. So what happens when we do this, when we expand the space between the thought, is that it actually leaves you with more mental energy, better focus, and an improved ability to think clearly when you need to. So the practice of meditation is about becoming very present focused and very much aware of the space between thoughts. Now, the meditation that we're going to go through in this program actually asks you to focus your attention to the top of the head or just above the top of the head, and then to rest the attention there throughout the meditation practice. But initially that's only for a couple of minutes at a time. So something that's different. If you've never done this before, it's going to feel new and a bit difficult and a bit strange, and that's exactly as it should be. The idea about meditation is that when we practice it, one's mood becomes more pleasant, more positive. There's more of a sense of equanimity, of being able to be balanced in our view, as opposed to swung about with the restlessness of an anxious mind or for anger, etc. And of course, in this quiet joyfulness of meditation that comes up when we meditate, I want to distinguish that against, it's not the same as manic happiness, excitement, where the heart rate is racing and there's a lot going on in the mind. This is a much calmer but still very joyful, positive experience. So importantly, as we meditate, we become fully aware, fully alert, and therefore we're completely in control of both ourselves and the experience of meditation. So it's not a giving over of any control. It's not to be seen of as a control experience. It's something that you guide yourself. At first, meditation necessarily involves the reduction of mental activity, and then ultimately the elimination of that activity is what we're striving for, to enter a state of mental silence where, as a meditator, you don't experience any loss, but you certainly experience reprieve from the pressures of, for example, personality, drivers, motivations, emotion, perception, even a sense of self. So we get a relief from all of these aspects of our human experience. In fact, many meditators report that the mental peace and the emotional equilibrium of meditating allows them to more fully experience the rest of their lives, their sense of self, their personality, their thoughts, their feelings, their sensory life. So these features converge into a single experience that is best described as occurring when one focuses on that cool, silent space that exists just out of the body or just above the head. Feeling silent, cool, calm and collected is a great way to summarize the experience of meditating. Now, to start the meditation process, when you begin to engage in this as a daily practice, is important to take on some general advice about how to sit or how to lie, some general advice about posture. So many people think that in order to meditate, they need to be sitting in a particular posture like a lotus position or cross-legged on the floor, but in reality it's just as effective to meditate by sitting on a chair, or if you like on the floor, but even to take support from a wall behind you to rest your back if it feels too exhausting to be sitting up for the space of the meditation. And the space of the meditation in this particular one that we're using in the program is about 10 minutes each time, so not a huge investment of time for a big gain. Of course, as you try to attain a comfortable position as you come into meditation, you're going to probably have to move around and work to get the best position for you. Some people find that they prefer a particularly supportive chair, but I would suggest that you avoid sitting on a couch or a sofa because it tends to not provide good support for the spine, and we're trying to have an erect, straight spine because that facilitates the best travel of the breath through to the bottom of the lungs and out, which also continues to having that sense of balance and equilibrium as we meditate. Lying down can be helpful if we're very tired, but the danger is you'll go to sleep, and you won't get the benefits of meditation if you go to sleep. But if you need a sleep, maybe you should have a sleep. So maybe lying down and going to sleep is a good idea. But for the purpose of meditation, sitting up is ideal rather than lying down. But once you've found that comfortable seated position with support to your back, the idea is to let your hands rest on your lap. Have your palms facing up, unless that's too uncomfortable, in which case, of course, have them down. Fingers gently resting, and perhaps just make sure both feet are on the floor rather than crossing legs is a more comfortable posture for 10 minutes. If you think about where you're going to meditate, of course, a place where you can sit quietly, undisturbed, so that it can be for about 10 minutes. The best time to meditate is first thing in the morning or last thing in the evening, but you can choose any time. There's no right or wrong here. These are known to be better times for meditation because they're the transitions of the day and tend to lend themselves to meditation time. It's important, of course, as I said, to sit upright and to have this support for your back. And initially you may need to refer to the instructional set, which of course the instructions for how to meditate are in the book. Alternatively, you can use the audio recording, of course. So if you need to have the instructional set there, make sure it's there as an easy visual prompt in your line of vision. When you begin to meditate, it's important to remove your shoes. That just allows your feet to relax, which promotes a feeling of relaxation throughout the whole of your body. And of course you can do whatever else you choose to do. Some people like to light a candle as a ritual of bringing further awareness or light to a situation, to the mind, more clarity, more light. You may choose to have music. Relaxation music, for example, can be very conducive to meditation. This is very individual. No props are needed though. I'm going to go through a thought-stopping sequence that might be helpful, because we can experience, particularly when we're beginner meditators, what's called the monkey mind, that mind that just doesn't want to stop. The mind wants to be restless. It wants to jump around and take us through all sorts of hoops and lines of thought and entertain us. And this is normal. This is what our mind does. It's very, very active. It can struggle against the experience of meditation. And I'm giving you that warning because it's kind of nice to be forewarned about that. So when it happens, please don't think that that means you're failing or you're doing it wrong. This is just normal. This is what happens. The mind will become even more active. And so I'm just going to give you a little technique for when this happens. So as you first start to meditate, you notice your mind being very, very active. Sometimes it just, as you begin to reorient your focus toward the instructions of the meditation, as you start to let go of those thoughts and only observe them rather than engage with them, the monkey mind may settle by itself. And that is a wonderful thing to experience and watch, and just to embrace that as it happens, to accept it as happening, is a wonderful thing. If that doesn't happen, you may find that the mind starts to get even more active. So rather than fight the mind, just ask yourself to bring your attention back to the meditation. Just ask for that. You can even ask, for example, the energy of meditation. There is an energy of meditation in the body, and just ask for that energy to quieten the mind, and that can assist with the mind becoming a lot more peaceful, which of course is what we want. Now, sometimes that's not enough and the mind will continue, and if that happens, just allow the thoughts to come and go, to move in and out of your awareness. The technique is to try not to be distracted by them, to try not to give into the temptation of them. They can seem very enticing. We want to get involved with them, but try to resist that temptation. Don't build on the thoughts, just let them be there, moving in and out of your awareness as you continue to bring your mind back to the meditation. And the meditation is the focus of the space above your head, as you'll see as you come to the instructional set. Usually then the thoughts start to calm down over time, and your monkey mind will give up eventually on trying to distract you. Now, once the mind settles, refocus the attention on the top of the head. Now, if your thoughts persist, sometimes they can, just silently say inside, I am not these thoughts, and bring your attention back to the top of your head. Be prepared to do this many times over and over. The mind is not used to resting. But there's a lot of benefit in helping it to rest, in learning how to stop the thinking process. If this is still not helping and the thoughts are distracting you too much, place your right hand on the top of your head so that the center of the palm is pressed firmly on the scalp, and allow your attention to move to that point. So you've given yourself a physical cue for where you want your mind to go. And then when you've done that, raise your right hand about 10 centimeters above the head and allow your attention to move up with your hand into the space between the hand and the scalp. And just holding your attention there as if you were balancing a basketball or a bubble at the point at the top of your head. And then place your right hand back onto your lap with your palm up and keeping your attention at the space above your head. And then staying with that. So as you can see, there are many steps to assisting the quiet the mind to quieten down and the monkey mind to settle. It's very, very normal to have the activity of the mind, and it can be frustrating at times. We can feel a little bit hostage to the mind, that we have to follow it wherever it needs to go. So it's giving yourself permission to unhook from that and just watch it all. Just watch the process, and whenever you can remember to, bring your focus back to that space at the top of your head. Now, as part of the book, you will notice that we've included from Dr. Ramesh Manocha has kindly given us permission to include this diagram called Mental Activity Self-Assessment. And in this diagram, we encourage you to rate your own mind activity, if you like, at the beginning of your meditation practice and then at the end. Now, there's no right or wrong in this. We're not looking for it's going to be very busy at the beginning and very flat at the end. That's obviously something that would be delightful to experience if it can. It's not always available, and the fluctuations of the mind mean that sometimes it's going to be very busy at the beginning of the meditation and at the end, and that's the way it is on that day. The process is the same. We still observe that. So we include the mental activity self-assessment as a further tool that will allow you to just over time have a record of what your mind activity is and how it's affecting you. Now, research has shown that the most diligent meditators, using the techniques that we've given you here and the instructional set as you'll go through, that diligent meditators can attain the upper 2 levels on the chart of the mental activity assessment. They can attain it regularly. But as I said right at the start, this is a practice. It's a skill that we can learn. It takes time to learn it. Over a month of learning it daily, you will be better at it. But there'll still be days where your mind will have that level that's right at the bottom of the mental activity assessment. We all have fluctuations of mind. So see how you go with regular daily practice. We have included an audio recording to guide your meditation, and this is on the Jessica Kingsley Publishers website as a companion resource to this volume that you have, Autism Working. So if it is difficult to use the visual prompt of the instructional set, or if it's difficult initially to memorize the whole sequence of meditation, please do use the audio recording until you have it memorized. But then our suggestion is to let go of the audio recording and just know that you have that meditation script in your mind for a spare 10 minutes whenever you need more peace of mind, and to stop those thoughts, the tyranny of the mind. Of course, you can also choose to experiment with different resources that are available. So this type of meditation is actually given on the Beyond the Mind website, which is an offering from Dr. Ramesh Manocha. So if you would like, go to that website and have a go with some other resources. The goal is to achieve the mental silence, to experience that space in between thoughts. And lastly, we encourage you to embrace the tool of meditation. There's now, as I said earlier, over 40 years of scientific research to show that the regular use of meditation in this way leads to better mental health, physical health, and better thinking skills, including better relationship skills. So, a wonderful tool. All the best with your meditation.